All right, so you're a developer and you're ready to dive into Amazon Web Services. But, where do you even begin? Well, you've come to the right place. Today, we're going to cut through all that complexity and get right to the essentials, getting your account set up, understanding the free tier, and figuring out what hardware you actually need. So you think to yourself, let's move to the cloud. What could possibly go wrong? And it's a fair question. But here's the thing you gotta realize. Moving to the cloud isn't just like changing the address of your application. It's a whole new way of working. It can feel awkward at first because, well, the rules have completely changed. And that really brings us to the most important thing you need to do first. You need a new developer mindset. The cloud isn't just someone else's server rack that you're renting. It's a fundamentally different way to build and run software, and it requires you, the developer, to think differently. Think about it this way. In a traditional job, you might write your code and then you just kind of toss it over the wall to an operations team, right? Well, in the cloud, that wall is gone. All of a sudden, you're not just writing code. You're also configuring services and managing infrastructure, tasks that used to belong to a completely different department. Your role just gets way more integrated. Okay, mindset is adjusted. So what's the first practical step? It almost always comes down to two big questions. Number one, how do I get access? And maybe more importantly, number two, how do I avoid getting a massive surprise bill? So let's tackle accounts and the free tier. Now, to work on AWS, you're actually going to need two different kinds of access. Think of it like wearing two different hats. First, you've got your user access hat. This is your admin hat. You use it to log into the web console and set things up like a database or a storage bucket. Then you need to put on your developer access hat. This one's for your code. It gives your application the special keys it needs to programmatically talk to all those AWS services you just configured. So how do you get to experiment without taking a huge financial risk? That's exactly what the AWS free tier is for. It gives you a full 12 months to play around with a whole bunch of services. It's basically your own personal sandbox for learning. But, and this is a big but, the word free comes with some very important fine print. And you have to understand that free means different things for different services. For example, for a virtual server, that's an EC2 instance, or a database, you get 750 hours a month for your first year. That's basically enough to run one of them continuously. But for a service like AWS Lambda, the deal's even better. The first million requests you make every single month are always free. Not just for a year, but forever. And here is the biggest gotcha in that fine print I mentioned. You'll see some services advertised as totally free. And technically, the service itself is. But you still have to pay for the underlying AWS resources that it uses. So a deployment service might be free, but the EC2 server it spins up to run your code, yeah, you're paying for that. It's a crucial distinction. So the most important thing you can do is be proactive. Go set up a billing alarm. Seriously, do this on day one. And here's the pro tip. Set the alarm threshold to just 1 cent. The moment your usage tips over what's covered in the free tier, you'll get an email. It is the single best safety net for preventing any of those nasty financial surprises. Okay, with our accounts and costs under control, the next question that usually pops up for developers is this. What kind of machine do I actually need to do all this? Do I need some kind of supercomputer on my desk? And this really highlights a huge advantage of cloud development. If you were running all these services locally, your own computer would have to do all the heavy lifting, and it would probably scream in protest. But with AWS, the hardware requirements for your laptop are actually pretty minimal because Amazon's powerful servers are doing all the real work for you. All right, so your hardware is sorted. Now let's talk about the software side. What programming languages can you actually use? What tools are out there? How should you set up your coding environment? The great news here is that AWS supports a ton of popular languages. I mean, whether you're a Python guru, a Java expert, or a JavaScript wizard, there's a really good chance you can use the exact same tech stack you're already comfortable with. You don't have to go learn some new, weird language just to get started. And that flexibility also extends to how you develop. You can absolutely stick with your favorite local IDE, like Visual Studio or Eclipse. Or you can go fully cloud native and set up your entire development environment on an AWS server. Just imagine that. You could code securely from any machine in the world that has an internet connection. Now, clicking around the AWS Web Console is great when you're getting started. But the real power for developers comes from one essential tool, the Command Line Interface, or CLI. This is where you can become crazy efficient. So what is the CLI, really? Well, think of it as a single tool that lets you control all your AWS services right from your terminal. It gives you a much better understanding of how AWS really works under the hood, and more importantly, it lets you automate all the repetitive tasks by writing simple scripts. Let me make this real for you. A simple command like this one, AWS S3 LS, instantly gives you a list of all your S3 storage buckets. That's it. No clicking through menus, no waiting for a web page to load. It's fast, it's direct, and it is incredibly powerful once you get comfortable with it. So let's just quickly recap the key takeaways here. First, embrace that mindset shift. You're a builder and an operator now. Second, control your costs from day one by using the free tier and setting up those billing alarms. Third, don't worry about your local hardware. Let the cloud do the work. And finally, get comfortable with the CLI. It is your key to unlocking true automation and efficiency. So there you go. You've got the foundational knowledge. You know how to get access, how to manage your costs, and how to use the essential tools. The only question left is the really exciting one. What are you going to build first? If this explainer helped you get started on your own journey, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. We'll be back to help you master more complex topics, one explainer at a time. Thanks for watching.